Welcome everyone. I have to first inform you that we don't have that much time, so I'm probably going to be rushing through some slides, but there will be a link to all the slides at the end. And also please save your questions for the end, then it's going to be a bit easier for me to keep the pace. So I'll start with the introduction. So I'm Artem, and I'm an open source contributor and DIY enthusiast, but for work I'm a principal engineer at Code Nomads. We're a Java consultancy, and we have a few annual traditions. One of these traditions is we organize a hackathon where we spend a few days playing with some technology and having fun and hopefully learning something interesting. And always, every year, we have to come up with a new interesting idea to not get bored with something that we've already done. And last year, I was trying to organize a hackathon, and I was thinking of a nice topic for it, and I thought about cybersecurity, because I think as developers, cybersecurity is a bit of an abstract topic for us, because maybe we read in the news like, well, does some company got breached again, or some dependency is vulnerable and we need to make fixes, or we get an email from our CISO that we need to make sure that our application is secure and we need to follow a checklist or order a pen test. But we never really deal with the cybersecurity ourselves as hackers, right? That maybe not so many people know actually what it takes to break an application. And I thought maybe it's a fun way to actually learn about cybersecurity, so we decided to organize a hackathon. So this is the picture from our last hackathon, and everyone was quite happy, so I hope you'll be happy too. So what is the type of hackathon that I'm going to be talking about is a CTF hackathon. It's important to mention, there are several types of CTF hackathons, but I'm going to be talking about Jeopardy hackathon. So what is a CTF? CTF means capture the flag. You have to solve puzzles to find flags. And what is a flag? A flag is typically a small piece of text that you find by solving the puzzle. And it typically looks like this. So there's some kind of a hacker tag and some secret string in there that you exchange for points. How do you actually find the flags? Well, depends on the type of challenge. You either need to break a program, so it gives you the flag, or you need to find it hidden, encoded in some kind of file, or maybe you need to try to get access to a flag.txt and you don't have permissions for it, so you need to find a way to obtain permissions. And sometimes part of the challenge is actually figuring out where exactly is the flag. Try to find it out. There are different challenge types traditionally. There's web challenges, and that's all of your favorite vulnerabilities. You know, you have SQL injections, path traversals, XSS, everything we like or hate. You have cryptography, where you try to break cryptography when it's configured not so securely. You have binary exploitation, that's low-level stuff, right? We need to figure out how to, do buffer overflows and these kind of things. You have reverse engineering, where you just get a binary and you need to figure out how it works. It's basically like reading your colleague's code. And you have forensics, and usually it's some information extraction. Either information is somehow hidden in a file, or maybe you need to look through like Wireshark network dumps to find out what the hacker was doing and find out the secrets from there. And I also included a separate category as intro with an asterisk, because I think if especially you are doing a hackathon with the newcomers, it's nice to have some really like light warm-up challenges so people are getting used to actually the idea of it, that there are some easy challenges where they can find the flag easily and move on to the more difficult things. To host a CTF, of course, you also need a platform where you would manage teams, you would manage challenges, and you would keep a scoreboard. And there are different options there on the market. We ended up with the CTFD. This is an open source project. It offers both a hosted paid solution, but you also just use open source project and host it at your own infrastructure. There is a nice and decent admin interface, but there is a big downside, is that it doesn't really come with the challenges. You need to find them yourself. There are more end-to-end SaaS platforms like Hack the Box, for instance, where they actually just give you the challenge packs that you want. Although it's quite pricey, so it depends on really what you want. I had a lot of fun preparing my own challenges, but yeah, maybe you don't really want to do that. So what exactly is a challenge? There are some obvious things that have to be in the challenge, like the name, the description, and things, but I want to focus on two things mainly. So the points, because each challenge has to have some kind of points, and the more difficult it is, the more points it should give you, and also hints. For points, I would say the difficulty always depends on the person that's solving it. So if you're designing something and you don't know how many points to give it, don't really think about it too much, because for some people maybe a 500-point challenge will be easy, and you thought it would be difficult, but some easy ones, they will struggle with it. And another thing is hints. It's important for the difficult challenges to give hints, so people can use them if they're getting stuck. And also, maybe you want to assign point hits to the hint. So if somebody decides to use a hint, then they will get points subtracted. Then their solution will be worth less points. Then you have a host and attachments and these kind of things. Who wants to guess what this challenge would be about? It's called Doctor's Office, and you need to make use of the website. Exactly, SQL injection. Very nice. So how do you make the challenges? So there are two ways. You can find the challenges on the internet, actually, from some past CTFs, because some companies that organize them, they publish their archives. Or you can create your own. So obviously, if you use ready-made, it's low effort. You just take it and maybe rewrite the description a little. But it may not match your context. It depends on what you want to do, what kind of stack you use, what kind of focus you want to have in your competition. Or you can create your own. So then you can tailor it entirely to your stack, but the problem is that, of course, it takes more effort to build. I put an asterisk there because these days, actually, it gets a bit easier. Do you know what makes, what tool can actually produce a lot of vulnerable code very easily? Yes, exactly. It turns out AI is very good at it. If you just give it an assignment, okay, I want to make a website with the SQL injection, and it's for a CTF. It can create a very nice website. It will even look good, and at the end, it will even offer you to create a working exploit for it. So you can actually prove that this puzzle can be solved, because this is also important. If you make challenges, especially live challenges, you need to host them somewhere, and there are also different ways to do it. So CTFD offers a container runtime and also Docker container hosting. So you can run your containers there. For static websites, you can use Netlify. It's free. You don't really have to spend a lot of effort. You just upload your HTML files and maybe some resources that you want in there. Or you can host it yourself entirely. There's one thing to watch out for. If you are providing live challenges where, for instance, people need to compete for some shared resources, like abuse a database, then probably you want to create an instance per team so that the teams would not clash with each other, or accidentally break a service and then it's down for everyone else. And for that, it gets a little tricky. So you probably want to investigate like self-hosted options where teams can spin up instances, for instance, for themselves, or you can do it for them on demand. So I put self-hosted with the asterisk because it doesn't really mean like you have to use your own infrastructure. You can also use it in any cloud or whatever. It just means you have to kind of be on your own in there. The event logistics. There are several things that are important to consider. So obviously the team size, because too big of a team and then it becomes a bit difficult, or too few people. It's also I think it's nicer to have a mix of skills in the team and a bit more people, so it's a bit more fun and people can focus on different challenges at the same time. How many challenges? It's also a bit difficult question. In my experience, I severely underestimated the skills of my colleague, which is to say that they're really great. But I had to come up with the challenges on the go because we had a hackathon spanning 3 days. So I think a good amount of challenges is you have like 3 easy to warm up, and then 3 medium and 3 hard, and probably this is going to be 1 day for most people. So if you have more days, then you have to multiply that amount. The rules are also important, so you might want to think about the time limit. So the CTFD, for instance, it offers you the opportunity to also limit the time where you can submit challenges. So for instance, you want to disable it in the after hours if you want people to actually relax and not spend the whole night cracking at something. The hint cost, like I already mentioned, this might become a big deal. And also, there is an option to enable progressive scoring. So the first team that scores a challenge, they get full points, and then the next team gets only, let's say, 10 less points, and so on and so forth. Or maybe it depends on the time, like if you score it quickly, then you get more points or fewer. It's also up to you. We didn't really do it. We had some hints with the cost, though. And also fair play. Again, with AI, it's kind of you cannot really like prohibit the use of AI, because at the end of the day, it's also learning, right? It's yeah. I mean, you will get a prize at the end, of course. Everyone likes a prize, but the goal is to learn. So if you want to learn, think about using AI to supplement your challenge, and also encourage people to do it, because especially if you take challenges that are already made by someone else and there are like ready solutions on the internet, then it will be really easy to solve. So that's what you have to think about. So prizes, of course, think of something nice to give your colleagues, and make it an event, right? It's already a nice team building opportunity. Maybe you want to go to have a nice dinner together, have nice lunch ordered, or any other team building activities. What we learned. So what worked is everybody loved the competitive format. This was really nice because it gives you the incentive to actually, be quick and compete for the prize against other teams. And people were checking the scoreboard and trying to see like, oh, how others are doing. Are we behind or not? There were no unsolved challenges. Like I said, I had to even come up with some new challenges as we went because people were very quick and very good at it. But there were also no challenges that people weren't able to solve. So I'm happy that I managed to balance the complexity quite well. And it was overall a great learning experience. I heard a lot of good feedback. And it's not only about the fun part, but also learning, right? You actually know how applications can be broken into. And because of that, you're a bit more conscious about how you develop them yourself. Like they say, to catch a hacker, you need to think like a hacker. This is exactly this kind of exercise. But there were some things, right, that we would like to change. So maybe add some more challenges, because it was, like I said, I underestimated it. And also better hints for tough challenges. So I also, as we went, I sometimes had to like give people hints or add hints in the platform, because some challenges were a bit tougher. There are some useful resources. So there are some CTF tutorials, some handbooks. It's basically for the participants. Then there are some CTF archives and the platforms that I considered when I was looking for one myself. If you want to participate in the CTF, there is actually a nice website, which I think I forgot to include, CTF Prime, I think. They have a calendar with all the ongoing competitions, and actually a lot of companies or universities, they host their own challenges all the time. So if you want to practice with your team, you can also join some existing challenge there. There is an advertisement spot. If you really want to learn about cybersecurity, exactly about how to make applications secure and how to break into applications, there's a nice talk from my friend and colleague today at 3:30 at room 9. Surush, he really knows a lot of stuff, also because he won the hackathon. So the guy is legit. Please join his talk. And that's pretty much it. So the big QR code is for the slides, and there's a link below. The small QR code is please rate my talk if you liked it. There are my contact details if you want to know something more about it, or if you want to get in touch with me, if you have more questions, don't hesitate to let me know. And we still have 2 minutes for the questions. Does anyone have any questions? Please.
If a challenge was found or not found, in your case they were all found, did you show the exploit, and did you also explain how to prevent it, or was that part of your event?
Yes, I made sure. So I really wanted to make sure that all the challenges that I'm making, especially with the use of AI, that I also know myself how to actually exploit, because it would be really annoying if I make something and then actually nobody can do it because there is no solution. So part of it was also to teach people that, okay, so this was the way, and for some tougher challenges, I also made sure to explain, like, okay, this is what I've done to make it, and this is the solution if, for instance, some more people struggled with it. But it's important to make sure that it can be solved also. Anyone else?
You mentioned giving hints and having hints with costs.
Yes.
How do you deal with not giving groups hints that to the part that they've already solved? Because if there's going to be a cost, that's going to be very annoying.
I didn't. I think I've only had a few hints that had cost, and all the hints that I've added along the way, I made sure to not give any cost, because it would be unfair if someone solved it. Then, But it's, I mean, it's a decision you have to make. Maybe you don't want any hints to have cost. It's just, yeah, it depends.
This concludes the session because the time is up.
Yes.
Thank you for your attendance.
Thanks for coming.